Hello, everyone. This is Maysha from As Long as You're Breathing, and we're bringing you an Every Life is a Story event. And you all know how much I love those because I truly believe that our lives are our stories with many chapters, but they're ours to write. It's our decision to make. We're in control of that. And I love it when people have taken control, when they have stepped up, and when they say, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I love it when people do that. And I love bringing them to you to inspire you, to show you that you can do it too. Because I know what happens. We get in these places in our lives and we're like, we're stuck or we don't feel good about ourselves or something like that. And then we see something like this and we relate to it. It resonates with us in some way. And we're like, wow, she did it or he did it. Or I've been there before. And we're like, they did it. I can do that too. And so I love doing these segments. And listen, I ran into this gal, and she can tell you the story, not tell you the story, whatever, but I ran into her this spring. And of course, y'all know I go into flares and all that stuff. And so it took me a bit to get her here. But by golly, I did. I told her I was going to, and I sent her the text, and I bet she was like, oh my God, I just knew this woman was crazy and was never going to get back to me. And here she is. Because, well, I am crazy, but I did get back to her. So I was absolutely determined to. I have looked and looked at this. I've got it like marked in places because this is amazing. Her name is Tina because, like me, although she stuck an initial there, it's really just Tina. Just like it's just Maysha, just Tina. So Just Tina is the founder and CEO of Manifest Inc. And she is right here in Jackson, Mississippi, just like I am. And if we get to it, if we don't, what we will talk about at least at the end so you know how to get it, and we'll have her back if we have to, is the Worry Book, which is a 90-day inspirational journey. And I have been through it, as you can see, and I was inspired, obviously, because I've got it I've got things saved everywhere if we get to it to talk about. So without further ado, Justina, let's hear all about it. Every Life is Your Story presents Tina.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Maysha, for having me.
Yes.
I did not think that you forgot about me.
Good.
And honestly, I kind of got forgotten about you. But when you sent me the text, I knew it hit me right then. I was like, oh yes, and of course I'll do it. So I was so glad that you reached back out to me, and I do understand life happens, and we just time just gets past us, and everything that we intend to do gets pushed and everything. Right. So, but everyone, I am Tina, and I am a native of Jackson, Mississippi. I am a mother of two, a son and a daughter, 17 and 11. And I am just a simple person, a mom who tries to provide for a family and do good for the community and every person that I come everyone I encounter. So, yeah.
That is an awesome thing, but I don't think you're just a simple person. I don't think that's the case because personally, I don't think anybody's just a simple person. I think we are all extraordinary. I think we are all, because we're all so unique. So, and that's the challenge that I do to people. I'll meet people on planes or whatever, and I'll tell them what I do, and they'll say, I don't think I could be on your show. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, you just start talking. And they'll say a few sentences, and I'm like, there's a story right there. And they'll and they'll talk a few more sentences. I go, oh, there's another one. And so, there's nothing simple about you. So keep going, girl.
Well, thank you. I guess I like to think of myself as being, just simple or keeping things simple or I don't know. That's just
right. An uncomplicated life, and you don't want chaos in your life. Because chaos causes worry, and so you don't have a chaotic life, and I can tell from this you are all about peace and calm, and that is a beautiful thing. But simple, no, girl, no, you are not simple. But you are peace and calm. That is for sure. Yes.
And of course, something led up to that, and I'm sure that's what we're about to get into of how my life kind of just rolled into the Worry Book. Coming into existence. So
okay, all right, then go right ahead. I can't wait to hear it because it is amazing. It is amazing.
It is. I don't know how much I can kind of go into, but I will say that a lot of us, especially women, we experience some of the same things in life, uh, different forms of trauma, whether it's childhood trauma that kind of grew into adulthood trauma, or something that started in adulthood. In my case, it was more so childhood,
Yes.
and I grew up in a family. Well, we were close knit family. However, I did have an absent father. He was present when he felt the need to be present, and my mom worked so hard to make sure that my brother and I were cared for. And my dad, he was a truck driver, so he was gone, a lot. So I really didn't have that father male figure in my life to kind of help me identify with love and loving relationships and marriages and everything. The view of that began to be distorted at an early age.
I understand. Yeah, it gets distorted anyway. So without
Right.
if we have ideal storybook, it still gets distorted. So
Yeah.
because there's no such thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I understand completely. Okay.
And I'm a spiritual person. I'm a believer of Christ,
Okay.
and I know that the enemy finds opportunity at every area, every stage of our lives.
Yes.
He will attempt to sow little seeds of discourse here and there, and can be very patient and strategic in that. And so those seeds started when I was younger. I've experienced molestation. Um, I've experienced bad relationships. I won't go into too much detail, but those things, those experiences, just um, led to the trauma being built up in my life, and I didn't recognize it. I didn't realize it when I was young. I didn't even realize it when I became an adult that, oh, I'm like this because this happened, 20 years ago,
Sure.
and until you begin to take the layers off, you allow God to come in, you allow Christ in to begin to remove those barriers, those layers, and to kind of go into those dark corners of your life. It's like, oh, so this started then. This started when I was, 5 years old. and
Well, when
I
it
was
starts that young, it's normalized to you.
right.
It's normal. So until there is something in your life,
Yes,
and of course, when you're spiritual, your belief system is what helps peel those layers off. And
exactly.
so absolutely that and thank goodness for that because we have to have something to peel those layers off and say, wait a second, that happened to you really whenever, but especially when you're young, because
Hmm.
most of us, what I find is almost, I would say 80% at least of the people I talk to that it's when we're young,
Yeah,
and that's that I talk to personally. I
right.
don't know that
Hmm.
that's but it happens to us young, and when it
Yeah,
happens, then I mean, talk about entrenched. I mean, that is your normal because you
yeah.
grew up in it. So that's you don't know that everybody else is, so yeah.
Right. And it begins to start other issues in your life, especially with
Yeah.
relationships,
Yes.
and becoming a teenager and starting dating and being introduced to sexual acts at such a young age. You think that
Yes.
this is, like you said, this is normal. This is what you're supposed to partake in. This is what relationships are about.
This is it.
You're
Yeah.
to do this. This is it,
Yeah.
and that's how you identify love when someone
Absolutely.
if they're physically attracted to you, then they love you, and if they're not, then they
Even
don't
when
love
you know
you,
better, even when you know better,
even when you know better.
the it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. You tell yourself differently and you act differently, but there's that trigger that is there, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to wait a second. I recognize that trigger. That's not what that means. I mean, you have to deal with those triggers, and so it is a journey of healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not as simple as just discovering it and say, oh, okay, that's not right. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
It's not just identifying it. It is so
Yeah.
much more than that. So yeah, so even somebody can identify it for you and tell you, oh, no, that's not how it is. And they do often.
Yeah.
They'll say, you've got that wrong. Well, you can tell me you got it wrong all you want to. It's not that simple. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And it just it just started a pattern for
Sure.
me. It just started a pattern for me, and I began to get into relationships that were not good for me, not good for my soul, not good for my spirit. I was in a 13-year relationship with my children's father. The first part of that relationship was abuse played a part in it. It started out wrong, and even with the physical abuse that was in it, I still didn't have the mindset, or and I don't even want to say strength, or courage. I want to say just the mind, just the thought that I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not I'm not supposed to be in this. This is not love. This is not good. This is not, but and to bring children into it, that was,
Yeah.
uh, kind of worse. But in the course of that relationship, sort of midway, God began to work with me then. He began to pull me away and put me into different things, and where I wasn't so active in the relationship.
Hmm.
Um, but we were still together. So,
Okay.
um, and in that time, I would say in 2000 and my daughter, was she born yet? She was born. I think it was at the end of my relationship with her father in 2012. And I journaled a lot during the last few years of that relationship. I have bunches of journals, and just things that I was going through, things I was experiencing in the relationship, with the abuse, with we weren't married, but
Sure.
there was still a commitment there. So I can use the term infidelity, maybe, but even with that, and in my past, and experiencing molestation, experiencing my father not being in the home and him dying, and experiencing building a relationship with my grandmother and her dying, and that being the closest person to me,
Right.
experiencing other relationships and friendships that didn't physically die, but they died, and they were important. Experiencing, um, trying to understand who I was, my
Yes.
identity.
Yes.
Like, why am I here? What am I purposed for? Growing up in a church, and just being there, just being someone who occupied a seat in the congregation, and not really understanding what is being taught, because it was foreign, to me. I hear the amens and everything, but it was just him speaking was just foreign, and it was uniform. It was, traditional. It was, stand up, sit down, and all of that. But I wasn't receiving anything. Just trying, and God knew, now I'm seeking, like, I'm trying to understand, Lord, like, why am I here? What am I here purposed for? Why am I experiencing, or have experienced the stuff I've experienced in my life? Um, why can't I leave the situation that I'm in?
Yes.
What's keeping me stuck here? Like, something is keeping me stuck here, but it's like we were at a tug of war. Like, my soul and my spirit, or my flesh and my spirit was at a tug of war. It's like,
Yes. Yes.
So,
I think many people can relate to that tug of war.
yeah,
That I have got to go, but I can't. But
but I
I have
can't.
got to go, but no, you can't. But I've got
No.
to go, but I can't. And
What are you
it's
gonna do, or where are you gonna go, or
how
who
are you
pays?
going to
How are
do
you gonna?
it? Yeah,
Yeah. How are you going to do it? Who's going to help you with this? Who's going to help you with that? You
absolutely.
need this person for that. It was a dependency type thing. You get to a point where you just and again, it's those seeds of discourse. It's those little sayings in your ear that you can't do this by yourself. You might as well stay. It's going to be harder if you go. And be
Yeah,
it's just going to be harder. And I I'm very empathetic to women and men, whomever, who are experiencing any type of abuse, whether it's physical or verbal or anything that's emotional abuse or anything like that, because you just don't know what is keeping them in that situation. We all know we should leave it. We all know we should get out, because that'll be
yes,
best, because someone is going to get hurt, to the point of death, or, just anything. But we just don't know where their minds are when it comes to leaving, and what they're hearing in their own brain, and
absolutely.
we just have to be empathetic to that person, and yeah, explain to them, no, this is not God's best for you. This is not what he wants for you. It's let's just look at the situation. Someone has to get help. Either he or she gets help, or you get help. Remember, they need to get help. And you need to leave if you can, if that's a possibility. Um, and just be a person that can hear them, listen to them, and be empathetic to them, and not be so bashing and
Oh,
critical
absolutely.
and judgmental
Yes,
when it comes
yes.
to that, because again, we just don't know the full situation and what they're dealing with internally. So
And until they are ready and have come to a place of having that worked out,
mhm,
it's not going to work for them
it's
anyway.
not gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it took me 4 times to get out of the situation I was in, and it was something I really had to get out of,
right,
and knew the first time, and
yeah,
intended fully to stay out the first time.
right,
When I went back, it was a technicality. He knew that, I knew that, and I still got locked into it.
yeah,
And it was not that I didn't know. It was all of the it was fear. It was obligations. It was there was so many things. It was
yeah,
so many, that and had nothing to do with what a lot of people would have thought it had to do with. So many
right,
people on the outside would be so sure they knew exactly what it had to do with. And the truth of the matter was, it was about a lot of fear and doubt about myself. And it was okay.
yes,
I don't know myself well enough and how to deal with how I'm going to take care of me. It
exactly,
was really about, I don't know how I'm going to stand on my own. And that was
right.
really the whole thing. It was one part was I made this obligation, and that was a huge part for me, but I overcame that part and left. And so once I overcame that one, okay, but I really didn't know how I was going to stand on my own. And I will be honest with you, I'm now divorced and nearly a year out of it. And it is a day to day by faith thing because
Mhm.
it's by faith I'm standing on my own still. So
Amen.
I was not,
Yes.
yeah, so that was not an unreasonable quote unquote fear, although fear is not something we should be in and I do not live in. But
Yeah.
but it was reasonable for me to have. Anyone that would look at the
Mhm.
situation and know all the details would be able to see, oh, I get it. But from the outside, it would,
Mhm.
everybody is so sure they know and they don't. And
They don't.
that is part of the problem is
Yeah.
people are judgmental. And so we don't ever need to be judgmental.
Right.
We need to be either keep our nose out of it. We're in the cheap seats. Okay. We are in the cheap seats. If you're not dealing with your life, guess what?
Right.
unless they invited you to speak up.
Unless they invite you.
Yeah, unless they
Exactly.
invite you, and even then, you only have the okay within the framework of what they invited you.
Yes.
They didn't give you free reign. Okay,
Right.
so otherwise you are in the cheap seats,
You're in
and
the
cheap
cheap seat.
seats, yes, cheap seats
That's
are supposed
it.
to shh. That's it. So the cheap seats need to be quiet. And so that's the issue. We are
Yeah.
all in the cheap seats unless it's our life.
Unless it's our life, and just
Yeah,
like you said, unless someone put you in. But other than that, it's like, yeah.
and yeah, and unfortunately, when it's our life, um, sometimes we are looking at it and know just about as much about it as if we were sitting in the cheap seats. It takes us a while to figure it out.
Oh my goodness. Yes. It's like,
Right.
I don't
But the
even know
thing
what's
is,
going
yeah,
on.
the thing is, we may only know that much, but we're the only ones in the cheap seats that have the right to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Everybody else needs to just, but yeah. So, okay, go ahead, girl.
Yeah. And that's funny that you say that because, the person, and I can't say my children's father, he was someone or is someone that was kind of known in our area, so it was like everybody knows everything about your life but
Oh
you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and
Except
they
you,
know
yeah.
what they know what's going on outside your
Sure,
home.
sure.
You know nothing, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just don't know. And then when you get all this information, it's like, oh my gosh, like you're just living a whole totally separate life from, what you're showing me. And I'm,
Yeah.
just blind to it all. But
Well,
needless,
let me call my family and find out what my life really is, or let me call all my friends, or let me call
or
the
let me
neighbors,
know one
and
of your friends, so I can like, look, what's going on in my life right now?
yeah,
Because,
yeah.
I'm
Will you
totally
please fill me? Yeah, from way back there in the cheap seats, please fill me in because I'm only living it.
I'm just here, just here.
Yeah.
I'm just your body.
I
But
have a friend. I have a friend who says, I do believe that whenever God called about my life, I was the only one that picked up the phone. It wasn't a conference call. When God called and said, "Here's your calling," guess what? It was not a conference call. Yeah, not a
just me,
conference call. Just you.
just me and him.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
but
love it.
goodness gracious, but those were some years, and I think that 13-year stretch was like like the longest time period because that was my 20s and my 30s.
Yeah.
That's my adult life. So I really haven't had an opportunity to just live. I was
Yes.
entrapped in something that that just kept me bound and kept me from really flourishing and really living out who I'm purposed to be. And even though I say that, it also now on the other side of it, I can appreciate that time period because I know, okay, that wasn't God, you know.
Hmm.
It helps me to identify certain things and and people and situations, even situations that I insert myself in, like, no ma'am, that's not what we're about to do, just talking to myself, no, we're not doing that. That's we're not repeating history or anything.
Hmm.
So when it got to the point, my daughter was um 2 years old and finally out of that situation. Um, it was a moment very funny to me because I was at work and I just called, their dad. It's like, look, I don't want you there when I get home. It was just out of the blue. So it was almost like, that I don't know. It was just a moment that just dropped into me and was like,
Wow.
call now. This is it. You can't take anymore. Nothing happened that day. Nothing, that kind of led to that very second or anything. It was a spirit thing. And it was a moment where it was, no, I don't want you there. Don't be there. This is it. And it was no going back.
Wow.
And
Girl. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just sitting here and here it is. Here's the moment. Wow.
Here's the, yeah, and
Powerful.
I was just at work and just doing my daily work, and it was like call now, and that's what I did. And
Wow. That's
so
obedience.
and that is,
That
and
is, yeah, that is self-discipline. That is obedience. That is the heart getting the message and overruling the mind and saying, "Oh, wait a second, you don't get to tell me. My heart's just said, don't
yes,
do it." Yeah,
don't do it.
that is obedience. Yes.
And it was scary because just like you just talked about,
Yeah.
that fear of how am I going to do this? How am I going to move forward? I got to take care of these
Yeah.
children. I got to take care of this
Yeah.
household. It's just me now. And it was almost like a calming thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
like God gave that peace. He gave that calm. He
Yes.
gave that, don't, I have you. Don't you worry about it. But
Yeah.
I can't take care of you if you stay here, you know.
And I believe that because it is all through here. I've read your poetry. I've read your poetry, and I'm like, why isn't every quote just her poetry? That's the part I don't understand. The quotes are great, and I've got them marked
Yeah,
because they're great. But I'm like,
yeah,
okay, every time I turn the page and it's not your poem, I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, it's a great quote, and I mark it because I've got look how many I've got marked. But I'm
yeah,
like, but then I'm like, oh, poem.
yeah,
So yeah, I've read your poetry, so I believe that God gave you that calm
yeah.
because the poetry is amazing and it is full
Thank
of
you.
there was chaos and
Mhm.
I got moved to calm. And so
Then
yeah,
I got moved to come. Yes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it, I don't, and I can say it was at that time too, because again, I had all those journals, right? I have
yes,
tons of journals that I can, I don't know, create something else with the entries that are in those journals. And I go back and read them because I like to see sometime what I experienced during this time period. And then I think about like, wow, I was going through that back then. Like, Lord, look where I am now. And I'm just so grateful and thankful for you that, you've
wow,
moved me into, this space that I'm in now. Um, the worry book, uh, it was something that I wanted to create because I know, just like we have, similar situations that we've experienced. There's so many other people that have
so
also
many, yeah,
so many. And a lot of times they don't know how to deal with those things.
sure,
Me, it was journaling. That was my way of dealing. That was my way of praying because I did not really have a clue on what my prayer should be like. You hear, get on your knees, our Father our Father who art in heaven, da da da, you know, but that didn't it wasn't personal, for me and for our relationship. So that's where the journaling came into play because
yes,
it was personal. It was me talking to God, and it was me just really pouring out my heart without having this guide on prayer. And that's what I tell people when it comes to the worry book. I said this is a space where you just lay out your heart, just talk to him. That's it.
yeah,
You don't try to be uniform. Don't try to be out. He's not looking for that. He's looking for authenticity. He's looking for your heart.
authenticity. Oh wow, that is like my
Yeah.
favorite word. And girl, I've got like three journals behind us here in these totes. I've got three sitting here on the edge of the
Hmm.
desk. I've got one over there. Yeah, I've got them everywhere. Of course, I
Yeah.
write songs too. I do. I use other things to get it all
Oh,
out. But
awesome.
but yes, and
Yes.
I teach people how to journal, and I've got a fringe journal over here that we're revamping because it's for business people and how to
Hmm.
business journal,
Hmm.
and it is based upon believing that we are created, so it's based upon not a specific, because it's business,
Right.
but nonetheless based upon the belief that we are created,
Yeah.
accepting that premise, and so yeah, I absolutely believe in journaling, and I absolutely believe that the way we do it is we sit down and we are open to the message, and then we pour our heart out and we pour out what we get back too, because
Hmm.
that way we've
Exactly.
got it, because sometimes we get it and at that moment we believe it, when we're so certain, but
Hmm.
then a little later it's like, we either forget, we get busy, or we doubt it, or whatever. So
Mhm.
journaling it,
Or read out it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or sometimes
Exactly.
journaling it as we get it, it's free flow writing, it
Yeah.
comes to you easier that way than just listening. Some people say, well, I'm not hearing anything, but you put a pen in their hand and let them start writing, and they get it. So I mean,
Yeah.
journaling serves so many purposes. So
It does.
I love how much space there is for exactly that. I mean, and you have your poems, of course, are prompts. The quotes are prompts, but the whole thing is prompts. But there's all kinds of space, of course, to do
Yeah.
exactly what you said. So yeah.
Yeah, and that was also too. Um, if you in my I thought about when I journaled. Sometimes I doodled, sometimes I drew in
Yeah,
there, whatever. And I was like, people may want to do that also. Some people, some folk that come to me and they say, "Oh, it's just so pretty. I don't want to write it." And I was like, "No, don't do that." It's like it's for you to write in it. It's for you to draw in it. I have
yeah.
a friend, she drew in it a lot. She drew all types of things, like whatever the quote was that day. She drew a picture that kind of like tied into that quote or that
That's
scripture or something like
really
that. It was so awesome. And I just loved, I was reposting her a lot on social media because she did it daily, consistently. She was like, oh my goodness, she just gave my heart joy every single day, just seeing that she was utilizing it. And it was serving its purpose.
we lost your
Now,
sound a little bit. We lost your sound a little bit. We lost some of your sound.
okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it like went really low.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Well, I still hear you, and we still have you. It's just like it's different. So yeah, if it stays that way, we still have you. It's like
Okay,
the tone. Yeah, so
the
we still
tone
have
is
you.
right. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
I'll speak louder and make sure. Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's just like
Um,
it's kind of echoey and kind of just different.
oh, I don't know what happened. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what
Which
happened.
side? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it just dropped down.
Maybe I may need to charge it up. Let me get my, well,
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. Yeah. Listen, I had to do it this morning. My computer started dropping out. So, yeah,
okay. I'm
yeah, you
gonna
go
let
right
my
ahead.
charger
Okay, you
briefly.
go right ahead. Yeah. And while you're doing that, what I'm going to tell people is, and I'll take you out of there. So, um, what Tina's talking about, what is something that I talk about a lot of times, is all the art forms. I write songs. I have a friend who is an artist, and so drawing in them is perfect too. But maybe you're a photographer and you can put your pictures in, or maybe you have other art that you do. Maybe you're a sculptor. Maybe you create clay pieces or whatever it is that you do. You can take those things and just take pictures of them and keep them in here because they represent your work because you're pouring yourself out in them. So there would be all sorts of ways you could utilize it. And I'm watching her to see when she's ready for us. There'd be all sorts of ways you could utilize it because art of all kind is an expression where we're pouring out what we're feeling. And so it's not just writing. And so for some people, it wouldn't be just writing. It would be yeah, I'm gonna let her get it set up. It wouldn't be just writing. So if you're like, I don't know that I'm comfortable journaling, don't let that stop you because the things here are inspiring, and it may inspire you to express another way, or it may inspire you to start writing. So okay, I think she's ready. She's
I
shaking her
am
head.
ready.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and it's all back now too. So I
Yay!
don't know if you
Okay.
could hear what I was saying, but could you hear me?
I did. I did hear
Okay,
you.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you made a valid point about not being comfortable with writing because I do get that a lot. Sometimes
Mhm.
well, I'm not a journaler. Well, I don't journal, I don't write that much. And I tell myself one of the special things about the word book is not something that you do every day. It's not
That too.
daily.
Hmm.
It's daily. It's whatever day that you feel like you need to let out something. Because we may not be experiencing anything that causes us worry every single day.
Right.
Um, it's just those moments in time where it's like, okay, I have this thing that I'm concerned about, and let me just write it out. Let me see if God will speak to me about it in this time, or let him know, like, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm experiencing, this is a decision I'm about to make. Lord, I'm giving it to you. to kind of help me guide me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm releasing it. I'm surrendering it. Yeah,
Exactly.
because that's a big term now is release that, release that. And
Release
you
that.
even use that. Surrender you use a lot, which I love. I
Yeah,
love surrender that because it's just a beautiful term. It is an act of voluntarily letting go.
hmm
Releases too, but when we surrender, it is we realize that we were the one holding on to it to begin with, and so we're the one.
exactly.
Yeah, release is that is too, but when surrender, because it makes the
Yes.
point in here is so many of the quotes and poems and stuff. Matter of fact, I have to find the one where you say. There's one where you absolutely say, I think it's the very first one. Let me see. Um, Self imprisonment is the worst place today. Shackled by broken chains held together by my own hands. Girl, you could take
Yeah.
like big chunks of my life and just I could, I was talking earlier about if you aren't a writer or
hmm
that you are a photographer or a scrapbooker,
Yeah.
I could go back and find old pictures of me and I could just stick them in there. I could
Yeah.
turn the page over and just stick them and label them.
Yeah.
Yeah, self-imprisoned, self-imprisoned, self-imprisoned. And then I could go over, a little further and put, and this is how I broke free, or this is when I surrendered, or or I could put the picture of what helped me do it,
Yeah.
or I could find a picture of what's going to help me do it, because vision boards help us, and it's like, okay, so what do I, what is God showing me, so find a picture of what you're being shown and put
Mhm.
that over there. So I mean, there's so many ways for people who say they don't write, because we do get that. There's so many ways to show yourself letting go. Well, okay, I
Mhm.
surrendered it. What's God showing me it's going to be? Well, if you really don't want to write it down, find you a picture of it. Take a picture of it. I mean, we've all got phones. You can find a picture of anything now. Take a picture of it.
Exactly. And
So
take a picture of it.
yeah, because the prompts in here are too good to miss just because you think you're not a writer. Okay, so you're not a writer. You're something. You're something. We're all something. And the prompts in here, yeah, the prompts in here are so good. And there's all kinds of room in here. So take whatever you are, use these prompts, and start sticking stuff in here.
And
Because
start sticking
look
stuff
at all
in
the
it.
things I've got stuck in there. You can stick all kinds of stuff in here, and this can hold it because it just keeps expanding. And I haven't got started yet, and I've got stuff stuck in it. So yeah, it is. It's
And
an
they do stuff.
amazing. Yeah, I love how it's designed. I remember we got to talk about that because I need to know how where you got that at. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's an amazing book. Everything about it is the design, the whole thing. So yeah, go
Yeah.
on, go on. Now that we got you, your sound is still kind of going in and out on us. So I think it's charging or whatever it's
It
doing.
is charging.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what mine did this morning too. So yeah, so
Okay.
okay, but
Well,
we can hear
hopefully,
you. We can
yeah.
hear you. Yeah.
Good. Well, and yes, about it's the poems in there and the quotes in there. They're all meant to trigger or to prompt you to release or to surrender something, um, whatever it may be. This journal, and let me go back just a little bit when it came to thought, during that time where I did break free from that situation.
Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to create more because I strongly felt that me writing and letting those things out in the journals that I have, those were tools that God used, even though it was
Yes.
me, I was in despair, even though I was crying out something, even though, I didn't know my right from my left, where I was going to go, how I was going to do. This is me just crying. Even in a lot of situations are self-imposed situations, like,
Yes.
shackled by
Yes.
my own hands. Even during those situations, okay, God used that. And
Yes.
he's like, okay, there's others. Okay, so I need you to create this. I need you to create a journal. And it took a while. It's something that came to mind, but it did not come into existence until years later. And the name of it, and I have to mention where the name came from.
Okay. Great.
I was leaving church one day, and my daughter at the time, she was probably about, I want to say between 3 and 5. I'm not sure which age she was. And we were leaving church one day, and she had one of those Kingdom Children or children's Bibles in the back seat of the car. And she I was driving and she had it in her hand, and I asked her, I said, "What is that you have? What do you have in your hand?" And she was like, "Oh, it's my worry book." And I was like, "Your what?" And she said, "My worry book." And so she called her Bible
Her
the worry book.
word book.
And
Wow.
I sat there, it was like, that's it. And I was like, it just comes out of our children's mouths a
Out of
lot
the
of
mouth of
times if we pay attention, because they come with these off the wall things and off the wall sayings. And a lot of times we like to shoo them off and everything. But
Yes.
I've gotten to the point now when she says something off the wall, I listen to her, and I throw away with, like, no, I can't do anything with that. And some things she says, I keep and I ponder on it a little bit. And I said, that's it. It's called the Word. And
Perfect.
and then at that time, it still didn't come into existence. I was still working. It was still something that I wanted to do. It was still something that I wanted to create. I don't know what was holding me back from doing that. Maybe it was like everything that I had my hand working, providing for them, kind of make sure we keep a roof over our head, not really allocating time to put toward it, and all of that. And the pandemic hit last year, and I was to leave and go to Texas to take a job. And at that time, I left my current employment, and I gave myself a few weeks to get things situated here to transition to Texas. And then the position got on hold. I had accepted the job. I was getting prepared to go, and the position got on hold. And it was on hold indefinitely. So it was like, now, okay, I'm not working. I don't have a job to go to. And I was sitting in the living room thinking about that. Like, what am I going to do? Because, I can't just go back to my old position, and I'm not getting paid from the new one because I never really started. And so now I'm just here without a job. And so God, it just drops into my spirit. Remember what I told you to do.
Divine timing.
Timing. And then boom, the journal came to mind. And it took me 3 months to create
I can believe it.
and 6 months to bring into fruition. So I call it my baby because it was a 9-month process.
Yes.
When it got from the time I started to the time it got in my hand was 9 months. And I was like this thing has been in my in my mind for at least 5 or 6 years, and 9 months there it is. And at a time such as this, where there was so much uncertainty, people losing jobs, people losing family members, people contracting the virus, unemployment. It's just so much was going on in this world, and people experiencing anxiety and worry and depression and sadness and all of that. And like, how do they deal with this? And a lot of these people, they don't have that relationship with God. A lot of these people don't have a prayer life, or they don't know what that looks like. Okay, don't overwhelm yourself with how prayer looks like. Just write it down, whatever it is that you're feeling, and write it out to God. Acknowledge him and let him, Lord, I'm writing this to you to help me on this. That is what this journal is for. And a lot of people have come back to me and they've shown me their entries. They've taken pictures of it, and they've shown me, oh, today's quote was just what I needed. And, it just does my heart so good. And one of the things that I prayed when I received all of them was, Lord, every last one of these journals belong to somebody. Like every one of them belong to someone. And we have to get them to that person. We have to get that journal to whoever it belongs to. However that looks like. I don't know how I don't know how it looks like. I'm just, you take the lead. I'm your girl. I'm just gonna follow you. And so we just got to get them to who they belong to, and let it serve its purpose.
Well, it was divine timing, obviously, because the space in your life was opened up to do it
Yes.
at a time when it was so needed,
Mm-hmm.
and you were so ready to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And just poignantly, when you said you birthed it in 9 months, your sound came back up. So it was like, and 9 months. It took 9 months, and bam, there's your voice back, and it's like, wow, you know. So it was like fruition. It came to
Yeah.
fruition, and your voice came back, and so
Yeah.
and it is amazing. And I can
Thank
see why
you.
people would contact you and say, today's quote was just what I needed. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I haven't written in it yet either, but one, because I knew I would hold it up and be showing it, although it hasn't kept me from sticking things in it.
Yeah.
I knew I would hold it up and show it because that's what I do. But
Thank you.
also, it is so beautiful, and it is something that I know you can revisit again and again and again, and just keep journaling, because every time it's like all things that are inspired. Um, it speaks to the moment in time. Songs
Exactly.
songs speak to the moment in time that you
Yes.
write it, but it also speaks to the moment in time that you revisit it, or that whoever's listening to it hears it. And so
Exactly.
songs do that, a picture does that, all art forms do that.
Mm-hmm.
And journal prompts do the same thing. So
Yes.
when somebody has a journal prompt of some sort, a journaling book or whatever, I mean, you can journal on the pages, and then you can go back and just have a regular notebook, and you can go back through, and the exact same journal prompts you can write again, and then you can look and compare, and you'll be like, how did I get that out of it? Because that's the beauty of it all, and that has to do with that spiraling upward, because it's
Mm-hmm.
different layers, because we only heal, and things only touch us at where we're able to take it at that time. And so that's,
Exactly.
or where we need it at that time, or where we're able to handle at that time, or whatever. And then we have changed, we have grown, our circumstances have changed, whatever, we've spiraled, we're in a different place, kind of like the onion
Mm-hmm.
or the apple that you're peeling. And so we read it again, and we're at a different place, and so it's
Mm-hmm.
different. And so you can read the same line over and over and over, and you can get something different every time. And so
Yeah.
it's a timeless gift. Something with journal prompts is a timeless gift.
It's a timeless
So
gift.
it's a timeless gift. So I can see why somebody would say, I can't write in it. I can see why somebody, but go ahead, go ahead and
Yeah.
write in it, and then get you a bunch of notebooks, and just say, okay,
Yeah.
the notebook 1, notebook 2, notebook 3, and yeah, or don't write in it, and just get you a bunch of notebooks, however you want to do it. But
However, or
yeah,
sticky notes. So
sticky
put your
notes,
sticky
yeah.
notes in there. It's okay. Or pieces of paper. You want to stick pieces of paper in there every day.
That's what
You
I've
know.
got is pieces. I've got pieces of paper in it. Is what I've got. But yeah, because there is so much in here, and you've got God quoted, you've got Wayne Dwyer quoted, you've got Emily Barrett quoted, you've got. I was hearing, I'm like, oh my God, my favorite poet. Oh my God, oh my God, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just blown away by all the people who quote, and I'm like, oh, another one of her poems, and there I
Yeah.
stopped again, and like, so any chance, and I don't want to switch the subject, but just a little side note here, because I'm really good at going down rabbit holes. Any chance there's going to be a book of poetry? Are you inspired at all to do a book of poetry? Because, girl, you are a poet.
I am inspired to do a book of poetry. I
Yay!
have ones already created. I have the
Yay!
content. It's just a point of putting them together. Uh, I will say I am also inspired to do another journal, which will probably be more personal. The next, it may have more personal things in there that, just from my own journal entries that may be included in there. And then some other creative writing may come to later on down the line. It's just so much that this has dropped down within me, and I don't want to get to a point like I once was, not in a place, or not creating the space to commit to it, because commitment comes from us. We have to, even though we have other things going on, we have to make that time to do those things that we know we are instructed or commissioned to do. So that will be soon. That will
Yes,
be soon.
we have to create the space.
We
That
have to
that is
create.
just it. So many people now are using the term, I'll hold space for me, hold
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
And I did a vlog post before I left Vicksburg about that, and I'm like, if you're hearing that and you don't know what it means, when you're holding space, what that simply means is you're helping someone make space for something in their life.
Hmm.
You're holding space for them
Hmm.
sometimes because they're not holding it themselves, and so
Exactly.
you're holding it for them and showing them they need to, or
Hmm.
helping them hold space because you're actively standing there. But I went to a long thing about holding space, but because we become such a busy people,
Hmm.
or we've become a people who don't stop and do for ourselves, and so someone has to intervene. It's almost an intervention sometimes, holding space
Hmm.
for someone when they're not doing it for themselves. And
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely, if you don't hold space, girl, to write, I'm going to hold space and make sure you do, because girl, create. Yes, you
I
are.
love it. I welcome all accountability partners, right? I,
Yes,
I need all the
yes,
ones like you remember what you're supposed to be doing. Like
yes,
get
girl.
to it.
Yes. Well, but the best way to do it though is to have a more specific way of doing it. Because just random things like that's really easy to blow off.
Yeah.
I'm really good at, like, it's 9 o'clock every night. And I'll say, so have you done your manifesting for tomorrow yet? Did you make space for that? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Ask some of my friends; they'll be like, "Did you get your text yet? Did she ask you yet if you got tomorrow manifested
Yeah.
out yet?" Because I really do believe that we sit down with ourselves first. We
Hmm.
we ask for the message. What have you got for me for tomorrow? And then we
Right.
sit down with ourselves, and we, okay, what part is mine and what part is yours, and
Yeah.
then we own what is ours, and then
Hmm.
we say, okay, this is how I see it, but you got, you can see bigger than I can, so don't let me put you in
Exactly.
a box. I'm going to do this part, but this is what I think I need from you. But if I need more from you or different from you, then you got free reign there. But this is what I'm
Ooh,
going
I
to
love
ask.
that.
I'm going to ask this from you. And so,
Yeah.
so this is kind of, you gave me your message. I'm giving you mine now, because God wants us to talk to him,
Yeah.
and our angels wants to talk to him. And, so
Yeah.
I have that back and forth, and then I write that all out. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, so if I wake up at night and maybe I remember something, I'll write it down, but I keep it next to me. And then instead of
Exactly.
worrying, if I wake up and I'm like, because I used to, I would wake up and I would be like, I'm alone now. I don't know what
Hmm.
I'm going to do. Now
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm doing. I know what God told me. I know what my angels and I have planned. It's right here. And I literally have told people that I work with, I'm like, pick it up and say, yeah, it's this.
Yeah.
And say, and not only that, but hey, this or better,
Yeah.
this or better, this is what I
Yeah.
want. This is what I think. But, if there's something better, I'm open to it. This is what, and then the next day I start marking it off. And so I have other people that I've been teaching this to. And so, boy, I get in bed at night and here I go with the text. So I've manifested. Have you, because we're taught to manifest like
Hmm.
it's always about money, or it's always about you want a house or you want a job or you want this. Well, no, what we're manifesting is our lives. And the way we manifest is we get ourselves where we're supposed to be. We get ourselves
Come
where we're supposed to
on.
be, and then we listen, and then we do our part when we're
Come
supposed when we're
on.
supposed to be when we're supposed to be. We do our part, and then we communicate and say, okay, this is what I think I need from you, but I'm not locking you into that, because I heard your message, but I may got it wrong, because I'm,
Right.
yeah. And so we get this positive energy loop going here, and then we don't have to do all this envisioning and all that. So we don't have to do that, because
We
we're
don't.
we're bringing it to us, and we're in this positive energy loop, and so that's manifesting. And so I didn't
Woo!
have to manifest a car, I didn't have to manifest a job, I didn't have to manifest a paycheck. I manifested my whole life because I got my whole darn life, because at 6 o'clock tomorrow I got to do this, and I know I got to walk, and I know I have to manage my energy, and we've all got 24 hours. We all have to manage our energy, every one of us.
Every one of us.
Every one of us. And energy is emotions are energy in motion, and so we all have to manage our emotions and our energy.
Yes.
So our manifesting comes from having our emotions, having ourselves in alignment, and so it's all tied together. So instead of doing all of that, do it this way. And so your journal. So you do all of this and write that down in there too. Hold it up and say, this or better. And then put it on your bedside at night. And if you wake up worried, say, no, why am I worried? It's here. There's nothing to worry about. My worry book has fixed it. We got it talked about. Girl.
We got it talked about. Yeah.
Tina had a prompt. And it prompted me, what was your message, because it all went together.
It all goes together.
Because it will be whoever is drawn to your worry book,
Mm-hmm.
whoever is drawn to it, it will be because you were in alignment and that person was the right person.
They
were drawn to you. And so your worry book is the right book
mm-hmm.
for them. And so your prompts are the prompts they need. There's
mm-hmm.
no second guessing. They don't have to, your prompts are the prompts they need. And there's no guessing. What are you here for? What you're here for is to be you. And if you're you doing what fills you and lights you up, if that's what you're doing, then you're in alignment. If what you're doing lights you up, and this lights you up, you can tell. And you can tell what lights me up. You can tell. And so when we're doing what lights us up, we're in alignment. And the people that are supposed to be with us are with us. Whether it's buying our book, watching us, listening to us.
Amen.
Whatever. Yeah. And so we don't have to go looking for them.
No.
We don't have to do that.
We don't have to search them out.
No.
We don't have to do any convincing. We don't have to do, and that's something that I had to come to terms with too.
Right.
Like when it comes to the marketing and getting people to buy in, that's already done.
That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yes.
You're in your being. You're being
yes.
who you're supposed to be. So you're like, okay, this is mine, and okay, I need readers now, and you said it earlier. You did it. You said, I said, okay, I've made it, and I'm turning it over to you now. We need people. These go to people, and that's what you did. You said, okay, these go to people. You find the people, because that is bigger than you. Finding the people's bigger than you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just were who you were supposed to be. You were in alignment with who you were supposed to be, and so they made sure. Okay, she's who she's supposed to be. So the people are coming automatically because she's who she's supposed to be. So the right people are coming. And so it is amazing, girl. And so, yes, you just keep creating. You keep creating. And I'm going to add you to my texting list. And I'm going to be did you manifest tonight?
Please.
Did you manifest
and
tonight?
Let me say, Maysha, when you just explained manifesting and manifestation, that what you just explained is the epitome of what Manifest Inc. is. Like you just explained it to the T. Like I wanted to scream as you were just letting it out. I was like, oh my gosh. Can I take everything that she just said and just put it on something or whatever? And when somebody asks me what is Manifest Inc. or what is manifestation, this is it right here. Because just like you said, it's getting in alignment. It's understanding who you are in your place, in this whole thing, who you are, what your place is, what your duty is, what your responsibility is, and what God's is. You don't want to get ahead of him. You don't want to take his place. You don't want to, just like you said, you don't want to keep, trying. And it's not all about money. God provides in so many different ways. He doesn't he provides the money also. He brings us prosperity. But that prosperity doesn't always have to equate to cash in your bank account. That can be grace. That can be product. That can be whatever, he brings. When you are able to survive and you're able to flourish and you're able to move forward in life and you're able to sleep and you're able to get up and you're able to be content and happy with where you are and what you have and those around you, that's living an abundant life, you
You know,
know.
we have been programmed
Mm-hmm.
by societal expectations of what prosperity and abundance is, to
Mm-hmm.
think that the 1 or 2%, the way they live, that is prosperity or abundance.
Yeah.
That is extravagance. And I'm
Yes.
not putting them down. I'm not saying they
Exactly.
shouldn't have it. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not
Yeah.
being critical of them. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, we're not all supposed to live that way. And so,
Right.
abundance is so many things.
It's so
I'm
many.
I'm
Yes.
living a prosperous, abundant life when I'm like this.
Yeah.
When I'm lit up because of what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
living a prosperous, abundant life when all of my needs are met and then some. I'm living a prosperous, abundant life when my car out there is paid for and it's in good running condition. I'm
Yes.
living a prosperous, abundant life when I've got friends who know that I left my coffee mug collection back there. And so Amazon today brought me a Bearzona mug from a friend that's like, you know what? I know how much she loves coffee, and I know she left her mug collection. And so I opened up that box, and she knows I love bears. And so it's like, oh my
Oh
God,
my
that's
God.
prosperous and abundance. That's
Yes.
I have the friend, I have the mug, I have the experience, I have the love, I have the joy, I have the tell me that's not prosperity and abundance.
That is
And
prosperity and abundance
yes, yes, that
because it
is
cannot be taken away from you.
no, no, that lit me up. That made me
Yes.
happy. That brought me joy. That brought me. You could have handed me $100,000, and I would have been happy and all that stuff. And I'm not going to tell you not to hand me 100,000 because I'll love you to death if you do. I'm not turning it down, okay? But she gave me that. It was from her heart. I know why she did it. I got really sick a few years ago, and she knew how much I love bears. And it's the head of the fibro organization that I told you about that I turned the page over to, and she sent me this huge teddy bear. I mean, it's huge, okay. And I named it after like one of my favorite people in the world, and she knows all of this, And I had to leave it because there's no way I could get everything in my Nissan Rogue, So that's one of the things I had to leave, and she found that out the other day, and so and she knew I'd left my coffee mug collection and all that stuff. So I'll be dadgum today. I go to the door and there's an Amazon box. It was not an Amazon box, but it was next to an Amazon box. And it was from Arizona. We're always saying we're going to meet one day is in Arizona because we love bears, both of us. And it's a magnet for my refrigerator and it's a coffee mug with Arizona on it. And I'm just like, I just started, I'm like in the middle of a class, okay? I'm in the middle of a class and I'm like sending messages. I've got the best friends in the world, so that's prosperity and abundance, and what manifested that in my life is me being in vibrational alignment because she and I have this relationship and and that's because I am who I am, she is who she is, and we're, yeah. So yeah, and you're gonna have the soundbite because you're gonna own this video just like I'm going to. So you can do whatever you want to with that. So
Oh, it's like, look at it. It's like, I have a perfect explanation on what manifesting. Just let me pull it up. But yeah, I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you saying all of that. That just, gave me confirmation in the sense that, that I'm still in alignment, that it's still what it is, and that it is what was given to me from on high. It wasn't something that I just pulled out of, myself or anything like that, because it was something that I questioned later because it became this popular thing right after I established the company. And I was like, oh, wait, but that's not what we're about. And I don't want it to get confused or anything like that. And I was like, no, but I was like, don't worry about it. Don't pay attention to that. Don't put your eyes to that. So I thank you. I thank you for it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And the way those synchronicities happen is both of us being in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
We're both in alignment. And so that creates the synchronicity of me saying what you believe. I mean, we never talked about the word manifest. We never
No,
talked about it at all. But
right.
that is the name of your company, and you can go back and look. I say this about manifesting all the time. You can talk to people what I teach about manifesting. This is manifesting. This is manifesting Maysha style. So you can go look it up, girl. But this is your story, and I've kind of taken over, and I'm sorry about that. I
That's
didn't mean
okay.
to.
It's
So
fine.
you are going to do more projects,
I
and
am.
I'm going to become your little manifesting nighttime reminder. It's going to be, did you
Yeah.
manifest tonight? And so yeah, I don't think I have to be yours. I think you got it, girl. You got the whole company, so I don't think I have to do. But if you need me to remind you about this, then I
Yeah,
will. But
I do.
um, okay, so is there anything else you want to tell us about? And take as long as you want before you tell us how to get these and how to get in touch with your company and what else you do. Is there anything else you want to cover? So take as long as you want, girl.
Well, about with the journal, no, I don't. I think we kind of covered my history a little bit, a little personal history,
Yes.
and how it came to be. Uh, I believe that was good, and the journals. I still they are my baby.
Yes.
Well, it is my baby. Let me say it like that.
Yes.
It is my baby. It is something that I did every page of it, picked every scripture, picked every quote. So it is personal to me. It is heartfelt, and I truly hope that it serves its purpose in the earth. I do, and I wanted to reach all four corners of the earth. I do. Um,
Well, it's going to do that. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. It's going to do that. So
Yes, I just to reach all four corners of the earth. But I don't have anything else to say about it. I will say that you can, if it's okay, I can go ahead and give the website on where you can get it.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, yes, yes.
If anyone would like a journal, they are at www.manifestinc.org, and you click on shop and you will see the journals that say the worry book. We also have t-shirts out there that say Manifest Inc. If anybody, would like a brand tee, um, it is out there also. We
Okay.
just created those, and they had a good response to them. There was people that I was shocked, because it was like, but this is different, but I want a t-shirt. I was like, okay, great, let's do t-shirts. But the journals are out there again. It's www.manifestinc.org, and you just click on shop, and it's out there. We upcoming also, you may see on the website, we have some other things that's coming soon. The Promise House is coming soon, hopefully within the next year or so. And what the Promise House is, it's a nonprofit organization that is going to be working in the Jackson, Mississippi area to help end the homelessness epidemic that's plaguing our city. We'll be providing transitional housing for those who are experiencing homelessness or possible homelessness. Um, our main focus right now are veterans and women who are exiting the criminal justice system that will need some place to live. So that's one of Manifesting's goal, to get that up and running,
Okay.
hopefully soon. So keep us in your prayers when it comes to that, because it is a need
Yes.
in our area. Not only is it providing homes for those who are in need, but we'll also be aiding in community development and getting rid of some of these dilapidated housings, because those are the houses that we will be choosing to renovate and kind of get some of these neighborhoods, cared for, who's been, left to just, I don't know. I don't want to use the word die, but a lot of our neighborhoods are just, filled with
Yes.
houses that no one are living in and being torn up and all of that. So that is what we are doing. And
Wow.
I'm excited about that as well. So
Yes. Yeah. And you described yourself as what? Simple?
I
I told you
did.
I was going to challenge you on that. The minute that
I
came out of your
did.
mouth, I was like, oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. No, that's not going, that doggone hunt. That doggone
That was
hunt.
the simple, simple, simple. Oh, I'm not doing anything. No,
No,
yeah.
no, I'm
So,
just a simple girl. I'm with a
yeah,
simple life. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right. I
That's
just have
what
a
it
little
is.
book and a little organization doing a few little things, and I'm just a simple girl. Yeah. What you are
Yeah,
is you are somebody who is peaceful and calm within because you keep the chaos without, and you do
yeah,
it through the way you handle life. And
yes.
that is, yes, and that is amazing. We will definitely have you on as long as you're breathing. And we're definitely going to
Thank
talk about your
you.
upcoming projects and keep up with what you're doing in the community. And yeah, this was a joy. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, Tina, for being
Thank,
on. Yeah,
thank you for having me.
yes, it
And
was
this
a
is
joy.
wonderful.
Yeah, it was a
And
joy.
then you guys can tell that I had stage fright. You know, this is one thing that I've always kind of feared a little bit is cameras, video talking, speaking in front of people. It's just been one of those things. So, um,
Well,
what
I'll give you
helped
all
me,
kinds of practice, girl.
I, please, I think I'm going to need it. I mean, what I didn't mention that I went to Bible college. I finished Bible college in 2019, and that was one thing that kind of helped me a little bit because we had to get in front of everyone and do like a sermonette, and I was like a deer in headlights. I was like, oh my gosh. And so, but this is pulling me out of my little, shell and getting me out there. So I can speak more about what the Worry Book does and what Manifest is going to be doing in the future. So
Awesome. Well, you can come speak on the platform anytime. Not a problem. Not a
thank
problem. You can
you.
have
Thank you.
all the space you need to expand. All the
Yeah.
space you need.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yes. So thank you so much, Tina. And it is called The Worry Book,
Yes.
a 90-day inspirational journey. And
Yes.
we're actually live on YouTube right now, and it doesn't let me put in the comments because I tried to put that, but I'll put it in the description so it'll be there. And when I
Thank
put
you.
it on the other platforms, it'll be there. So
Awesome.
it'll be there.
Wonderful.
So there is a quote in it by one of the people I love quoting, who's Eleanor Roosevelt, and so it is perfect for an Every Life is a Story event because it says, you know how I'm always telling you all, as long as we're breathing, we're not out of ink. If we're not out of
Mhm.
ink, we can keep writing our story.
Amen.
Eleanor Roosevelt said, with the new day comes new strengths and new thoughts. Well, you all know what I tell you. We don't have to wait for a new day. We don't have to wait for a new hour. It doesn't have to be the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour. All it has to be is you decided
Yes.
this isn't the way I want it. Then just stop right then, take a deep breath, and change it.
Mm-hmm.
Change the story. It's your story, your life,
It's your
your
story.
story. Write it your way. And thankfully, we have a creator that wants to create with us that way, wants us to do it exactly that way, doesn't want us to wait till the next morning. The way, what Eleanor wrote is beautiful and true
Mm-hmm.
and inspirational. But we don't have to wait until a poignant moment. We don't have to wait for sunrise, sunset, Monday morning, and I love Mondays. I love all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we're breathing, we're not out of
Mm.
ink. We're not out of ink. So as long as you got the ink, you're writing. So as long as you're breathing, it's your life, your story. Write it your way. Thank you all for being here with us, and buy the Worry Book and use it. I mean, this lady she's amazing, and the poetry is amazing. So see y'all again soon. Bye. Ah, my browser won't go. I'm just doing my hand.